Okay, so a couple other changes in the Montague product line is the Boston 8 has been revamped for the second quarter of 2013. It's now comes in a smoke gray color. This one's a 21-inch model. I believe the 19-inch model's gone through all of the upgrades also. The still has the 8-speed grip shift, which you'll notice we've got a single gear on a single gear, and that's because this bike uses a enclosed Shimano Nexus transmission. Now that still takes some adjustment, but fortunately all of your adjustments are relatively simple up here and then down below, but they should come relatively well adjusted from the factory, although there is a way, if it's skipping around a little bit, you would there's a way of lining up some little color lines. You'll see instructions in the owner's manual for that. The fenders are user installed, so you may or may not want those. They may or may not come on a bike if you buy it used, if the previous owner didn't want them that way. Comes in a smoke gray with glossy powder coat now. The older models were a flat black powder coat. The newer model also comes standard, even though they went up in price. They're making a couple of previously optional features standard now. One of which is the adjustable handlebar stem, which is Montague makes these for the bicycle industry, but they're including it on a lot of the road bikes. I'm not going to say most of them at this point, but you loosen this little quick detach, you work that lever, and then it adjusts in and out. You'll notice that the design is actually very similar to the M4 buttstock. They've done previous work on, let's say, the Paratrooper mountain bike here, but they are not usually putting the adjustable handlebar stem on the mountain bikes, but they will put it on road bikes, but it's compatible with the others. So, quick detached front wheel. It's got caliper brakes, which are common to road bikes. Although in the future they are going to be doing some road bikes with disc brakes, but it's usually their higher end models. Disc brakes are not likely to be compatible with the Shimano Nexus transmission because of the amount of room that it takes up. You also cannot retrofit the hubs back and forth usually between something that was set up for the Shimano Nexus and something set up for a conventional gear set, and that's because of the width of the gear set and the width of the hub. The single speed on single speed is very reliable as far as external gearing and shifting goes because it's got a lot fewer moving parts externally, and they also are able to put this little armor ring around the front sprocket so that it's less likely to get gear teeth damage, let's say bouncing on the ground while the bike is folded up. It still has all the durability of the Montague bikes, but with a stiff front fork, you're going to get better on-road performance, and of course it's got relatively bike industry standard 700C tires. It'll fold like all of the other Montague bikes. Now it's considered an American product, but yes, parts for these are made overseas. For example, the welding and powder coating on the frames is done in Vietnam. Other parts can be made in Taiwan, China, Japan, depending on the component structure of a particular bike. All of the bikes, kind of like the Apple computer industry, all of the bikes are going to go through a kind of a clearinghouse warehouse situation outside of Seattle. So if you purchase one of these through a US dealer, they all pretty much go through the same quality control, although dealers will vary. If you buy from an actual storefront or one of the small vendor dealers, they're expected to go over the bike before delivery to the customer. If you just buy from, let's say, Amazon.com mail order, you get a bike in a crate like this, and that's that. Although what I'm doing is I'm working on some assembly and unboxing and assembly videos so that the average mail order customer can probably work their way through the initial assembly and tune-up. And as far as retuning on the bikes, a little tricky with the Shimano Nexus, but not impossible. Any reasonably mechanically capable person can do it. So if anybody talks a little bit about old versus new Boston 8 bicycles, this is new model, comes standard with the Octagon handlebar stem. It's no longer in flat black, it's in what they call kind of a smoke silver color. The gearing system appears different but has the same function. I've also gone to the same basic pedals that the mountain bikes have, although a lot of people change out the pedals to whatever they feel is more fashionable. The Boston 8 it's really good for reliability and simplicity, but they're using pretty high-end components, and you do have 8 speeds inside of the Shimano Nexus transmission, which is a grip shift mechanism. And I've had the older model of this. This one's going to another person, but I've had the older model, was really happy with that grip shift 8-speed transmission. I don't feel shortchanged in life riding a bicycle that has less than 26 speeds. Okay, I don't feel shortchanged in life because there's fewer speeds on the bike transmission system. And I really like the idea of fewer external moving parts on one of these bikes. So I know it's not a super production grade video, and we're not going to take this out and ride it because it's another person's bike, but that's the newest rendition of the Boston 8.